canción para mi gente. Con una pasión tan fuerte. Ay, 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 ay. Ahora sigo cantando y sigo gozando. Yo sigo cantando y sigo gozando.
Now you can say Olay.
Hey, that if anything gets you fired up for fun time, it's that.
I enjoy it.
That's what I'm talking about. Look at that. See that? I told Boat. I was like, there's some reason I had that thing on the table, and I was like, I couldn't remember what it was. See that?
Oh, you're a little pixelated there.
There we go. Look at that. Or I could put the wheel there. That'd probably make more sense.
It's a little more show specific, yeah.
The wheel has an awful glare, though. You know,
It's not bad.
that's an awful glare.
No. You know, you're doing it wrong. And bam, no glare. No glare.
I was gonna say what? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our show. I feel like remember the Little Rascals? They put on the show every week. That's what we do. You know, we're raising money for Darla's mom. You know, she
That's a lie. We want all the money for ourselves.
she got hurt when she was slaving down at the garment factory. You know, that's the way they used to do it down there. We're not gonna have here's this. And by the way, the booking of those shows, it's like, listen, we're gonna have a 5-minute song formed by Froggy, and he'd be like, oh, yeah, it's like, fuck this, you know.
Hey, Mohawk Mall.
Then again, when your headliner's Alfalfa, you got a problem. He sucked. Sorry, Mohawk. I can sing a little bit.
No,
Oh,
just end that before it starts.
yeah, Froggy was good. I don't know. My
He
personal
was a great UFC announcer.
no. Oh yeah, that wasn't UFC. That was Yama pit fighting.
You're
The
right.
one show they did. Let's get ready to go to pit.
No, that guy was great.
He also announced some like the fake UFC knockoff that was sort of like what was the name of that? It was horrible. They did a crossover with WCW. He did some announcing there too. I don't hate that guy, but he was abrasive. He was like human Brillo pad, basically when he talked.
I approve.
You want to talk like that, you got problems.
Hey, Explorer.
What's up, El Curtis?
For those wondering, we are dual streaming from here on out.
Well,
At least on ARG.
hey, look, we actually have someone in the other chat.
Yeah, I just said hi to them.
Hi. We're actually no. The thing we're doing this time is different. We're actually monitoring both chats.
Yeah.
But you never.
So if we say hi to someone and you don't see the text, that's because they're in the other
yeah,
chat.
well, I can't keep track of all that stuff.
No, I'm telling them.
How's your back and all your other various ailments today?
I'm feeling okay today.
You look like $100. My
Hey,
friend.
Alec.
You know, so it's
Steve. Man, we're getting all kinds of
Yeah.
familiar, but not stream familiar faces.
Yeah, no, well, those guys we both know. I know all those guys. Steve Rasmussen, Alec, we know those guys.
Oh no.
Listen, you have been around. You ain't been around. What's that song they say that in? Anyway, so I guess you went to work here this week. You were healthy.
Oh God, I've been working my butt off. I gotta go into work today at 5.
Oh yeah. I enjoyed an extra day off this week.
I know. You lazy
I
bum.
want to thank all the veterans for their tireless efforts. I'm serious about the veterans.
No, we did
the
veteran certificates for some of the old folks' homes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, the thing about veterans, you got to have a lot of jack to join up with the armed forces in any country.
Yeah.
You know, now some countries don't have a choice.
Yeah.
They don't really have a choice there, but in America, you get a choice.
Sometimes.
What do you mean?
Unless the draft's on.
Well, since it's not Vietnam,
Hey,
can you imagine them trying to have a draft now? That would be hilarious. Canada and Mexico would be filled with people as they roll over the border. You know. Good morning, Bucker.
No, that wouldn't happen at all. The army would be like, oh crap, we can't use like 80% of these people. Can you imagine if I rolled up to the draft, Aaron?
I see what you're doing there, Buck.
Hey, all right, I guess I'm in the tank.
Yeah.
It's like, no, sir. You
we
can't
don't have
fit
an
in the
extra
tank.
large tank. Still, we've mentioned before, but our grandpa was a big World War II hero. Double Purple Hearts. He always told me he deserved 2 more, I think he said.
Yeah.
He probably did.
Yeah.
Because his information got lost with POW'd by the Germans in WW2 after the Battle of the Bulge. But Pawpaw was I don't know if you call it what he did paratrooping, but he would jump out of the planes in the gliders.
Gliders, yeah.
you know. And boy, that didn't sound like much fun. I salute those guys too. that's that's like an extreme sport. We're gonna throw you in a working plane in a paper glider, go not die. And I was like,
You just
okay,
about said something very bad, Aaron.
yeah. So, yeah, but
Did you just do dink?
no, I don't dink. I don't dink or duke.
Was that me? Did
That
I
may have
do
been
that?
that could have been my computer that dinged, but I didn't.
No, it was mine.
I'm gonna put my computer on mute. Hey, I've got big news.
Big news.
Oh, look at this!
You finally
everybody.
got it back?
No, it's a new.
Oh.
It's a whole other phone, everybody. I'm back. The nightmare is over. It only cost me $600 to $700.
What? So
I'm
what?
back in the game.
Wait, what was the? What's the word on your other one?
This is a curious tale. I should probably mention. So, as some of you know, my phone got broken in August. Before I went on my trip with Luke. And so I've been using a broken cell phone for, well,
the
all these
screen was
months.
broke.
Yeah.
But it was pretty badly broke.
It was unusably broke.
Yeah.
And it got worse.
Not like, oh, there's some screen crack. No, his LCD was screwed up.
So I went to the phone people. I'm like, listen, this is warranted. They're like, okay, here, we'll set you up. They'll send you a box. The box. They never sent me a box. Like weeks went by. So I was like, I went back. I'm like, what the heck's the box? They're like, you'll have to deal with the insurance company directly. We don't deal with them. I'm like, wait a minute. You dealt with them before? They're like, no, it wasn't us. I'm like, I was here. I talked to that guy. The guy was going like this.
Yeah, you see him scurry off to the back.
And so finally, I got a box in the mail. Okay, so they're like, listen, you'll be good to go. Send us the phone because they make sure to take out your SIM, blank the phone, factory restore it. And they said, make sure it doesn't lock, which of course it's factory restored.
Yeah.
No lock. So I did everything they said, put the phone in the box, sent it back. 5 days later, my dad says, your phone right at the house. I was like, okay, I went down to get it. He goes, I think they gave you a new phone. I'm like, oh, that sounds good to me. Opened the package, pulled out the phone, looked at the phone, recognized the phone, hit the button on the phone. It was completely the same. Nothing had changed. So I'm sitting there with this broken phone. You think about talking about a cuss. I look at this phone. I'm like, what the bleepity bleep happened here? I cut a promo on everyone at Mom and Dad's house. And especially when they tried to give me advice. Well, maybe you should contact. I've done it all. I went bananas. I probably went overboard.
Go banana.
So, and I got a card in the thing. It said, it's like, thank you for sending us your warranty phone. Unfortunately, we were unable to fix it for one of the following reasons. It wasn't cleared. It was locked. It was unfixable. Nothing. There was no. It was just like a generic card.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, what do I do now? Well, there was nothing to do now. And if you try to get hold of these people, it's impossible. So I went back down. So I thought I'm just gonna buy a new phone, or a used version of that phone. And then I thought, man, if I do that, I'm gonna get this thing here. I'm gonna put my SIM in, and it's not gonna work. So I'm gonna be out of much money, which I'm gonna be out of much money anyway. So yesterday, I finally went down the phone store. I'm like, listen, I explained this whole thing to this guy. I'm like, here's what I want you to do. I would like to get some kind of replacement phone so I can deal with this other phone like in my own time, as opposed to because I had no phone. And do you realize how hard it is to deal with a phone that you can't see, and they need information from the phone? It's nightmares, and everything I did was a nightmare. So the guy's like, listen, I've got this Moto here. It's a little bit better than one you used to have, and they've got a deal going. So anyway, long story short, I'm out $600. Now I'm going to take the other phone. I know for a fact that I can get a couple $100 out of the broken phone. I know that because I saw that's what they're going for. So at the bare minimum, I'm going to get a couple $100. And I'm hoping I can get them to fix the phone. But one way or the other, I'm getting rid of that phone. Lesson learned: phone company's evil, and their insurance garbage. Assyrian, screw you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When we have phones for the kids and of course my wife, and they're like, oh, should we get the extra insurance? I'm like, no. It's like, no.
It's pointless. Yeah. Pointless insurance. Yeah. They didn't fix it. And I talked to the Chud. I told the Chud the story. He says, listen, I know a guy had the exact same experience. I'm like, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny. Hey, what's up, Paul Kitching? It's funny that when the guy sold me the new phone. He goes, "Don't worry, this one falls right under the coverage of the old phone." I'm like, "Oh yeah, thanks a lot." He made 2 screw ups when we were talking. He said that. The other thing he put the screen protector on. And he was working out the bubbles and stuff. He goes, "Listen," he goes, "when you get home," he goes, "do you have a hair dryer?" And I looked at him. I went, and the guy laughed. He laughed. He goes, "Yeah, I guess not." He goes, "Did you have to point to your own head?" I'm like, "Yes, for effect." For such a stupid statement to be made.
And when I got my phone, we went down to the phone store, and the guy was doing the whole spiel. I was like, "No," I said, "Just give me the phone. Don't put crap on it. I don't want a screen protect. I don't want any of that. I don't want a case.
Yeah.
Give me the phone." He's like,
Oh yeah,
"All
that's something
right,
else.
bye."
If you go try to buy the phone, oh, no, I've got to make. They've got to send me a monthly payment of the phone, and then after my first bill, I can pay the phone off. I could. They wouldn't sell it to me outright. They're not allowed.
Yeah. Well, you can put
Yeah.
as much money down as you want as long as you leave at least a penny, and then you have to pay a penny bill. I mean, I understand the
Yeah,
scam,
it's
but
a
it's
scam.
stupid. Yeah.
It was just occurred to me that you're technically what we've been doing, what we're trying to do is not stream the pre-show on YouTube, but just actually put the show on YouTube. But I guess we're just put the pre-show on there too since you hit start.
Oh no, I'm still gonna record.
Yeah, I know, but see now we don't have to upload it. That's the whole plan.
Nope. This goes into hiding.
Well,
Oh, see, your phone's making noise.
I didn't know.
Didn't mute the
I
phone.
forgot. I don't know who that is. See, it's someone from it's Amiga Bill's user group. It's me. What are the odds? I don't know how to mute the phone.
Ah,
Hold on, I'll figure it out. It's everything's different.
it's still an Android phone.
Do not disturb. How about that? That'll do it, right?
Aaron, you're too disturbed not to disturb.
Well, I mean, it's just different than what I got. Yeah. Look, everyone's got a phone story. Yeah, yeah. That's one advanced phone, Pachaco. Ha ha ha. And this guy he was like, "Hey, would you like this? Would you like that?" I was like, he goes, "I'm sorry, I had to," and he goes, and of course, I want to be upfront. There's going to be an additional fee here, cost here. And I said, "Listen, man." He goes, "A lot of people get mad. Oh, something else, he had to walk away." So he goes, "Listen," he goes, "I've got to take the phone out so it doesn't with me when I walk away because so we had some guy run out of here with the phone. Good angle, by the way." And he came back and I go, "Listen, I know you're going to tackle a bunch of crap fees to screw me." I was like, "I understand. I'm not mad at you. I worked for a car dealer, so I understand that there's a whole lot of hosing going on, but, what are you going to do? That's the world we live in. It's like I used to watch, I still watch Dragnet. They had a Bunko division. Bunko divisions where everyone was trying to get away with schemes and scams.
Right.
Like the whole world is Bunko. Like everything's a scam.
Yeah.
Like if you get on the internet, there's scams left and right.
Yeah.
Joe Friday'd have a heart attack if he logged on the internet. God bless him. You ready to do this thing?
I think so.
All right, let me get my Nizotes up here. It's gonna be a fun one, I think.
I have a feeling this is going to be a quickie.
Why? I've got lots to say.
Well, I have a feeling this is going to be a quickie.
You got
quickie.
You got a lunch date?
No, by quickie I mean like 40 minutes.
Oh, that's so an average.
Well, no, we normally go hour. I mean,
I'm not gonna predict how long it's gonna last because who knows? Also, if you get me started, I can make you go for a long time. I can't control it.
No mitts. Aaron can't help but talk nonstop all the time. Although I can't say much. I'm a blabber myself.
That's true. I was a DJ for a little while. It broke me mentally because you can't stop. They won't let you stop. It's like you got to talk about crap you hate. Here's the new Poison album. Oh God, it's 6 a.m. Why?
Why do you hate Poison, Aaron?
Because the album cover of Every Rose Has a Thorn has this. I think the album's called Tattoo You or something like that. It's got this bleeding tattoo on it. Not attractive. Not fun to look at in the morning. Then I played that god awful "Every Rose Has a Thorn" song over and over. Listen, you can listen to that song 1 or 2 times and be like, but if you listen to it every day, day in day out in rotation, no is the answer. I was dying for Big Country. That's how desperate I was. I'm like, man, we gotta play. And the guy that came in after us was this guy who brought in this big, huge trunk full of albums. He could play whatever he wanted. He was playing like it was like the retro show. And here's Dummy doing the morning show like an idiot.
But Aaron, now you have a retro show, and you get to play the games
Well,
you want to play,
we're not
as long as they're on the pet.
Now, I'm just saying that show was pain because the chick I did it with was like a morning person. She'd be all bubbly and crap when she picked me up, and I wanted to strangle her. And then we got to the station. I couldn't say anything. If I badmouthed the football team, I got in trouble. I got in trouble for everything I said. I can't get away with nothing. You know, the public airways is for suckers.
You're an idiot.
I'm just saying.
All right.
What am I dumb? It's the sense of the wrong.
Anyway, we're gonna go dark, and hopefully we'll come back with an intro.
You're not putting a lot of faith in this one, huh?
Well, I didn't actually make a blank scene, so
You idiot! That's the easiest thing to make.
I'll make one right now. Blank.
He's killing me. Are we starting?
Yeah.
The acting is cheesy. The plot is stupid. I'm sorry, the plot is bad.
That's a little opening. Hello, everyone. Welcome to an exciting ARG event.
Yes.
The Brent. You have arrived on a very special day because today's the day we take an in-depth look for maybe like the 3rd time on the Commodore PET.
Well, but more specifically, Aaron,
Yeah.
the genius, the man behind all of your favorite non-release titles for the pet, Jim Summers. A little bit of highlighting involved.
Well, I mean, this will be a very short summary of the works of Mr. Summers, but we'll get to that in a little while.
Yes.
The Brent. It's Commodore Pet Day. I got to ask you, last time I saw you, you were all beat down.
Yeah.
You look pretty spry today.
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
Was it because that we spun the Commodore Pet last week that got you so fired up that it shook off all the illness and you took over?
I obviously, every time we've done the pet, I've thoroughly enjoyed my experiences.
Yeah.
And this week we've done the pet 2 times previous.
Yeah.
This week might be the best games I've played on the pet.
Oh man, don't overbill it, but yeah, you might be right. So, since we've talked about the pet a few times, I'm just going to go to a brief summarization of the pet and a few things I didn't even know. So the pet dates way back, Brent, to 77. January it was demonstrated at the Consumer Electronics Show in Chicago. And according to the guy who wrote this, and I had to look, and he actually backed up his work when he said this. He said the pet was demonstrated months before the Apple II or the TRS-80.
Yeah.
So the pet was like an early home microcomputer.
And it does not get the respect it deserves.
About it. So, just for fun, Brady, what do you think the pet was selling for back in the day?
I know the answer.
You do know the answer.
$1,300.
Yeah, well, somewhere in that ballpark. And
depending on your memory.
Yeah, your mileage may vary. Just a little bit about the pet, of course, much like Commodore's other systems, born in the USA, standing proud with Commodore Basic built in, which basically Commodore Basic was Microsoft and did the work on that. You had the famous, on the original model, the 73-key chiclet keyboard that looks like it came from another planet. When you look at this machine, it looks like they shipped it in from the moon. Big monitor built into a big crazy box with a weird keyboard. And this had a 6502 proc in it, monochrome screen. And you think to yourself, these stats don't sound that good. And on top of everything else, you probably had the 8K version. Not that much K, Brand. But
no, plenty enough K back then.
Well, it was enough to do some pretty good stuff, the Brand. It had a lot of things going for it, including expandability and stuff like that. So you had a lot of nice action out of the pet.
Yeah.
When you got it, they weigh a ton. If you ever need a boat anchor, You can just tie a rope around this thing and you'll be good to go. So they were a good machine for back in the day.
Absolutely.
Now I want to touch on one more thing before you hop in, which was, this is our third go around with the pet, and I thought to myself, there was some because the games we're going to talk about today were not sold games.
Correct.
And I thought to myself, I wonder how many games back in the day actually were like boxed. Because I looked, and we'll get into it, but the games we're going to be looking at are games based on other games.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
looked,
sorta,
and,
yeah.
Like one of the games is based on was for the TRS-80, came out the same year in a beautiful, glorious box, box copy. And I thought to myself, wonder what we were getting down the pet. And so I did a little research, just a smidge of research. And there were some outfits that released box games on the pet. The number one box game seller was Avalon Hill. In a time where people were selling games in baggies, Avalon Hill was selling games in beautiful, glorious boxes that are sort of reminiscent of their boxed game releases of that era. What do they call the old bookcase games? You know how nice those are?
Yep.
And Avalon Hill games, and just a few that I saw boxes for were B-51 Nuclear Bomber, which I believe, is that the text-based bomber game, I think? Voyager 1, Lords of Karma, which I love that. The Andromeda Conquest, and Acquire had a box for it. So that's kind of cool. We covered Acquire in one of the other shows.
Yep.
A few other games. I read that Epix had some boxes for games on the pet. The one that I saw a picture of was Temple of Apshai, or is that what you call it? Temple of Pashi back in the day. A few other games I saw that had boxes from various dealers were Morlock's Tower, Space Invaders. There was a series called Arcade 1 and 2. I saw that those had boxes. Cubic, and then micro computer games, which you also covered this game on another show, did Telengard. They had a box copy of that. So there were games that were being sold as early as 1980, 81, 82. But back in those days, you still were mostly getting the old plastic bag treatment.
Yeah.
And even
Not a whole lot of publishers putting the money in.
Yeah, and even in the early days of I remember going to the Radio Shack and seeing all kinds of cassettes that were in bags. They may have a manual, they may have a color manual, but they didn't have a box. They were shipped in bags, and of course, if you look at the Coco stuff, they famously shipped most of the Coco cartridge games in just the same generic box.
Yeah.
They're box, but they're not they didn't make the box.
Maybe put a different label saying what the game was, but that was it.
Now that's a little rundown of the sold software, but the subject of today's show, he never sold a thing.
Yeah.
Give us a scoop, the Brent.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about Jim Summers. Jim Summers is from Waterloo, Canada. And
Waterloo, let's sing it.
No. And we're actually gonna go backwards through his life. Well, we're gonna talk about
Benjamin Button.
The most recent things first. This man is a college graduate and has his PhD in computer science. So he's a brilliant man.
Big brain.
He has worked on different technologies. Networking was something he was very passionate about. And he's worked at a couple companies doing software and tinkering lightly with hardware for these people, making them very successful. Usually sticks with a job until the job goes away for whatever reason. Before that, he attended college at Waterloo University, like I said before, for computer science. And before that, he was a normal high school kid who was just introduced to this world of computing. Now, Aaron, I think you said that you read this. Do you remember what computer his father would bring home on weekends for him to experience and play around with?
I did. It was the Ohio Scientific.
Ohio Scientific. That is correct.
We covered that a long time ago. What a fun episode that was.
So when I read
I was
that,
so happy to see that.
I was so stunned. It made me smile from ear to ear. His parents weren't rich enough to just give him a computer, especially at such a young age. But his father would bring home that Ohio Scientific and let him play with it and tinker and start learning the ins and outs, and it got him excited. And eventually, they were able to swing getting him a pet, a Commodore PET. $1,300. It was the 16K version,
Big memory.
and this would put him at about 14, and he was a normal kid who was into the video games. He would go to the arcades, he would play those, and he would play computer games, and he loved playing computer games. But the problem was he didn't have access to a lot of them. Just like you said, the pet didn't have a lot of box games at this point, especially go to a retailer, pull it off the shelf type of stuff. And even if they did, he didn't have the money to go out and buy that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So what did he do? Well, he did the big brain thing, and he said, all right, I'm going to make games. I'm going to program my games so I can play them. But the other reason why he did this, Aaron, was he was attached to BBSs, pulling down the few bits of software that he could get. And for those who didn't experience BBSs back in the day, they do a thing called ratioing.
Yeah.
And what that is if you want to download something from a BBS, you have to contribute. You have to do something too. So he would write a game and then upload it and get his ratio up. And so once he uploads something, he could download something from the BBS.
That's a slow way to do it.
Yeah.
Now, because the BBS is, just to get back to that for a second, the ratios are set by the sysop of the guy who ran the BBS. So sometimes it'd be like 4-1.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'd be 10-1. That would mean like every time you uploaded something, you could download 10
times worth of stuff. Yeah.
And then sometimes if a system was a particular jerk or they had some very tasty wares, it would be 1-1 or 1-2.
Yeah.
They'd make you really work for it.
Yeah.
And so I read, when I was reading that interview with him, he mentioned that like he was always looking for something to upload to get the ratio. And I'm telling you, there were all sorts of alternatives. So if you ever wonder why BBSs were always full of like incredibly low level porn or like text stuff like Anarchist Cookbook, it's like that stuff just got passed around, including by me.
Yeah.
Many times.
And I mean, and also depending on your sysop, some people would take your stuff, see if it was actually quality before they'd give you the ratio.
Yeah, that I hated because that's when you were busted. That's when you got busted real quick.
So I would assume that was what he was experiencing, because what he uploaded was 3 of the most sought after and classic pet games to ever be released. How sought after were these things? Well, these never went to market. He never approached a publisher about them. These were things that he made with obvious influences from the things that he was playing at the time. But these were all him writing the code off his home-owned pet, just trying to get something for him and his friends to play and for him to upload to BBSs. Selling it was never part of his thing. It was never on his mind. And for those to exist from that sort of beginning to find their way on the internet, 40 years later is amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing. These are the type of games that are so often just lost to time because, you have to rely on someone physically taking that media at some point and getting it to the current year.
Yeah.
And a couple of these games were lost. My game in particular that we're going to take a closer deep dive look at was lost for a long, long time. And people remembered it. People remembered playing it and wanted to play it again, but no one had a copy to actually get dumped into a ROM file and get up on the internet. So what did Jim do with this amazing talent? This was a talented programmer. Even as he reflected back on his programming prowess, he said, I did this wrong. I just wasn't experienced. I was self-taught. This should have been better. And he learned all that as he went through school and found better ways of doing things. But since he did not follow that video gaming path, and he says that he has no desire to come back to it, because projects nowadays you can't do with a single person, or it takes an incredible amount of dedication for a single person to pull off a title of AAA quality. And I believe all the games that he made would have been AAA quality back in the day. I honestly feel that. So the one game we're not going to go into depth with that he made was called Slime. And if you're watching at home, that is what it's on your center monitor there. And this was a game based loosely on Centipede, where a spawner would fall down the screen, and you have full movement on the screen. It's a very large grid. And it would leave little pods, little blobs on the downward stroke, and those would grow. And as they grow, they would have little hatchlings inside of them that would break out of the slime. And this was a very unique game because the only way to die is if you got hit by a spawner going down, up and down the screen, or the other enemy that goes across the screen. If you run into those will kill you. If the slime goes to expand and you are in its little aura, it will crush you and kill you. But the little eggs, the little tadpoles inside the slime won't actually kill you. It just deducts from your score. So it's a constant risk versus reward. You can have a really good game going and then get clobbered by all these little tadpole things, the little slime babies, and your score just gets erased. It's brutal. Aaron, I know that you had no intentions of looking at this game. Did you happen to take a peek?
I did have a peek. Once I saw that we were both on one of his games, and this was the other one.
Yeah.
You could tell that this is the third one he did because I'm pretty sure it's the last one he did of the pet games, because this is an advanced. Do I think this is the best of the three? I don't.
I don't either.
But in terms of the graphical advancement, the gameplay, the speed, the movement, the fact that this huge slime mound comes out, it's quite impressive, actually. I mean, it's one of the best things I've seen.
How it grows and stuff is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's very impressive, and this one is probably this is he mentioned it was sort of based on Centipede, but it's very loosely based. I would say this is probably his most original work as well.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Aaron, did you have enough playtime with this to give an opinion, or do you feel that's a little unjustified?
I think listen, I think it's one you give a shot. The whole time I was playing, I was thinking, man, I wish I had a trackball. This would be a fun one to rig up with a track. I'm serious. I mean, it's totally like Centipede in terms of the movement. It'd be perfect to have a trackball to control. But yeah, it's good stuff. I thought it was pretty good game, and very graphically pleasing. I will say that. For sure.
I agree. Aaron, I believe you wanted me to take the reins of first time. So I will get right into my game.
That was the worst way to explain. I'm going to talk first I've ever heard. Go ahead. I'm starting to regret my choice now.
I took a look at Star Spores.
Oh, man.
Aaron, we did not plan on making this a Jim Subbers tribute video.
I can't figure that out. How did we do that? That's not the first time we both picked the same thing from one. This guy, we had 3 games, God. We picked the 2 of them.
We literally, this was just, we picked 2 games.
Yeah. No one's going to believe that.
Yeah, no.
Even I have trouble. I'm me. But
independent of each other.
We never talked.
Nope.
I mean, ever.
No, outside of the show. We're disgusted and repelled by each other.
Yeah.
But when I saw that this game was so highly recommended by so many people, because I wanted to end this pet series with a bang. I was looking for the best, and Star Spores just kept coming up over and over. So what is Star Spores? Star Spores clearly influenced by Galaga and Phoenix. I think those would be the 2 I would point out as the most influenced that I see in the game. It's a shooter. You're at the bottom. You are stuck just going left and right, and you have a double ship, just like Galaga after you get a ship captured.
Yeah.
And at the top of the screen are spores, eggs, if you will. And when you shoot one of these eggs, an enemy will come out. And the enemy is based not only on what stage you're on, but there are a few random enemies that can be in the eggs that you can't kill. You have to just kill everything else to get through the stage. You have a time limit at the top that ticks down. It's fairly generous, especially in the beginning. And you are
can screw you.
Yeah, and you are awarded bonuses at the end of this once you destroy all the enemies of bonus time. So, why is this special? This has been done a million times. This is special because there are 7 stages, and every stage has a different enemy with a different graphic, with a different behavior, and with a different attack. And that variety, and when you get through with 7, you loop back around, it's a little bit faster. The variety in these enemy ships are off the chart good. Your first one is your basic round enemy. You shoot it, it shoots down at you. It will work its way down the screen and try to run into your ship and then retreat back to about mid-screen. Pretty common stuff. But as you go along, the enemies evolve. And it does some things that I've never seen in shooters before. This was 82, and it's doing stuff I've never seen. I've played video games for 30, 40 years.
Yeah, you're right.
So some of the things that it does that I've never seen before. There are ships, I believe it is on stage 5 or 6, that look like lawn darts.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, they do.
And once you hatch them out of their egg, they're coming for you. And you can't shoot and destroy them. When you shoot them, it only pauses them. And you have to wait until they come all the way down, hit the bottom of the screen, turn around, and start to retreat. And when they start that retreat pattern, you can actually get in behind them, shoot them, and blow them up. And you're thinking, man, that doesn't sound that great. I mean, Galaga had stuff that was going down the screen and then coming back. No. In this atmosphere, with these graphics, with this feel, it's amazing how difficult these enemies are, first of all, and how fun they are. Because you get to choose how these things hatch out of the eggs. When you shoot the egg, that's when the ship is released and comes down at you. A few other things that it does really well. Not all enemies want to fight. Some will make a break for it. They'll try to run off the side of the screen.
And they have dig dug. Sometimes just get bored and they go away.
And if you shoot the ones that are retreating, you get more points than you normally would. And it actually has a little graphic that shows how many points you'd get. Or if it leaves, it just leaves. It's not coming back. It's gone. And it's completely random on which ones will do this.
Yeah.
It's that kind of variety that is just incredibly awesome. The other thing, Aaron, that just blew my socks off once I figured out what was going on, I believe, last stage are these itty-bitty little diamond enemies. And they shoot bullets. Almost all these enemies at some point will shoot a bullet as like the basic attack. But these things will also shoot little lightning bolts. And they would hit me, and I wouldn't blow up. I was like, well, what's going on? They ain't there to blow you up, brother. They're there to reduce the time you have to complete the stage.
Yeah.
And if you run out of time, you die. So they're killing you just through the use of the time bar. So brilliant.
Yeah.
So brilliant. I love that.
And, you've also got, and this is something that, just to hop in for something along those lines, there's a special guy that would just show up. He can be on the first level.
Yeah.
And he looks different than the other ships.
And you can't kill him.
You can't kill him. If you just don't fool with him, you're fine. But anytime you shoot him, he shoots one of those electrical bolts down.
Yes.
Now, he'll also shoot regular bullet on occasion.
Almost everyone has a regular bullet.
Right, but I mean, so when I first saw this guy, I'm like, what's going on? With this guy. What is this lightning bolt? And that's what it was. It took me a while to figure out, but it can happen on the very first level. It can be the first guy you pop out of the pod.
Yep.
So that mixes it up. He doesn't appear every time.
No. And you might go a whole game and never see him. The other thing that's really fun about this game is when you die, brother.
Yeah.
You blow up, this huge pixelated free-floating explosion that just kind of drizzles down the screen after the initial propulsion, and then it slides. It does one of those cutaway slides and then comes back.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's good.
Awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed this game, Aaron. I can see why this is one of almost all his games, I believe, were eventually ported to the TRS-80, to the...
Well, there's some conjecture. See, that's actually what I read. This came from the TRS-80 because I believe I read that this guy was buddies with the guy that did the TRS-80 version.
He was. But I don't think this was...
I think they brought this over.
I think it was a joint effort.
Was it? I
Yeah.
didn't read that, but I mean, it came out in '82, same year and I will say, looking at and we both are big fans of the TRS-80s.
Of course, yeah.
This one looks better to me. It looks. I didn't play
agree.
the TRS-80, but I saw our good buddy Buck Owens, who really helped us a lot in this episode, had to go with the TRS-80 one, and I thought this was a superior looking version.
Yeah, and now this, of course, we have a little bit of an advantage being on an emulator because on a CRT monitor, I've seen this played live, videos of it.
Yeah.
And on a real system, and there is blur because things are moving so quickly. Of course, that's going to be dependent on your monitor.
Yeah.
But the PET, being the PET, you got the monitor you got.
Yeah.
So there was some blurring on this. It was not Game Boy bad. Everything was still very, very playable. But having those neat, crisp graphics was so much fun to play with. I would say, and this might tip my hand a little bit, Aaron, but I would say this is my favorite PET game. I really enjoyed
You like it better than
this one.
Acquire?
Yes. Yep. I really enjoyed my time with
We
this.
played some good PET games, but I'd say I enjoyed this. It's funny when this comes up and you're like, "Oh man, double ship action." That's an eye catcher, but you realize fairly quickly that like being double ship you're really
It is
lost,
not necessarily a good thing.
you know?
Yeah.
And so some of those is tough. This game, you can jump right in, by the way, you can play any of these games in a browser with little effort. I mean, any problem. You're right; it doesn't look as sharp on the real thing. But I mean, listen. That's one of the advantages of playing a PET game from 1982 and 2023. We've got to give us something, and that's the thing we're going to get. But I agree with everything you said. The aliens are different. The blonde art ones are particular. It's funny once you understand how to fight them. Most games like this just go there blazing with your gun. But on that level, you don't blaze with your gun.
No.
It's like heat seeking to come after you. But I like the transitions in this. I like the high score thing. I found a poke for this that lets you have unlimited life.
You don't need that.
I mentioned this for a reason. So I got to run through this thing about 1 million times. So I mean, I think it's about 7 levels before it switches over and repeats. I didn't even notice that. I don't know if it even gets any harder. I don't think it does.
It does. It does seem to speed up. I believe
couldn't tell what's the difference.
I've looped it 3 times, and the ships, especially the line dart ships, I started really having trouble with. So maybe that's a hard stage though. So maybe it's all an illusion.
You can apparently get extra man because I ended up getting one after a while. I don't know if you knew that. So there's that. But I mean, listen, this game isn't like super duper original, but it's fun. It plays well, and that's no easy task on a machine this old.
Yes.
To have something that you can sit down and play. So I really enjoyed it. And the thing is, you can see for a guy who you got to remember all the games we talked about on the PET from this guy Summers. He wrote these when he was still in high school.
Yes.
He was in high school. So this game came from a guy who taught himself how to play, make games, and he was still going to school.
Yeah.
High school.
Yeah, and he was writing them for himself because he wanted stuff to play on his computer and for his friends. I do
like
so
it
awesome.
that you would make a game that then you and your friends could all have high scores on. By the way, he sets scores in these games.
Yes.
They're good scores.
Yeah, they're real good.
So, yeah, but I enjoyed this one quite a bit, Brent. I think this is a real winner.
I do as well. Now, Aaron, you obviously brought something different to the table. Do you want to?
Let's have a look at the Discord on this thing real quick.
Oh, you know what? I
Before we
apologize
jump
for
out the
just.
door, Speedy. You said it's gonna be a
I
quick
got
one.
things to do.
So we actually got some action on this. I want to talk. I want to give a big shout out to Buck Owens in the Discord, who really he made it real easy for us. It was just, although really I didn't have that much trouble once I found the ROM. One thing, if you're going to play this at home, remember two things. If you're using the emulator online, make sure your caps lock's on.
Yep.
Remember that from before? We learned that lesson.
Yep.
I remembered. And also make sure you have the keyboard in game mode.
Yep.
Game mode. Pajako had a go at these games, the BRENT here. Of course, Pajako usually does. So, Star Spores. At first, I thought this was going to be a clone of Eagle Empire from the arcade, but 1 minute in, and I can see it is clearly not that. And if you think having a twin cannon ship is a great thing, well, no, it ain't. Because for one, it makes you a bigger target to hit, and two, your shots are just far enough apart to pass on either side of enemies. And in one later level, you're right to be careful about when you shoot, not go all Han Solo and blast up the place.
Yep.
Some enemies just seem to get bored and run off the edge of the screen after you free them. So having lots of enemies on the loose at once isn't the best strategy for a high score. Oh, and yeah, you are against the clock, so the quicker you get through, the better you score. So the pressure is always on. Graphically, this one is quite chunky, but it runs and plays well, and the explosion animations and screen refresh when you die is pretty awesome.
Yes.
Although it would be good to be able to skip that after a few times seeing it.
Oh.
You really just want to get back into the action. It's not that long, but I can see what I thought that. Sound again for the pet is limited, but good at what at the job it does well. Overall, though, another really solid, fun game for the pet, and again, something I can really have seen myself playing the heck of back in the day. 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
So a pretty high praise there on that one. I think it's a fun game. I mean, I'll put it this way: it's fairly universally praised because I heard people talking about it on forums of everywhere for over a series of decades.
Yes.
So people knew about it.
Yep.
And enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
Now, Aaron, what did you? I brought gold to the table, solid gold. What
Yeah.
did you bring?
I brought triple gold, brother, because the game I chose, again, another one of the Summers collection here, was a fun title called Astro Rescue. Now, let's get to the nitty gritty here before I get into the pet version. This Astro Rescue, Buck, I had some discussion on the forums about this game. So, this game is a clone of an arcade game, and it may be a clone of a clone.
Oh, double clonage.
Double clone. So, there was a game released in the arcades back in '79. It's funny, I can't remember if I remember this or not. Does that make any sense? It was called Lunar Rescue, released November of '79. From Taito. Yes, they've been around that long.
Yep.
Developed by Taito. And this was a game where you had to, there was a mothership at the top of the screen that dropped your ship down to an asteroid field. You had to land on the planet, rescue an astronaut, and then take him back to the ship to the asteroid field. Sound familiar? It looked a lot like this. Of course, the graphics were better, and it was a vertical game, so you had a lot more real estate to cover with your screen. And of course, if you want to get real technical, if you've ever played Lunar Lander, where you actually guide a ship down and land on a planet,
yeah,
this is sort of along the same lines, I believe.
No, I disagree with that totally, because you can land on the platform going max speed.
Well, I'm just saying, but there's a precedent for landing like you do on a planet. I think Taito also did that one. I could be wrong. Don't hold me to that. So I looked around. Versions of Lunar Rescue were released on, as far as I could tell, on the ZX81, the VIC, a couple on the Specky, the C64, TRS-A Model 1, the Mac, and the Coco. They all had like varying degrees of ports of this. So get this. The TRS-81, and this is where I got the whole idea about going into the boxes. So I was looking, the TRS-80, we're talking about the original TRS-A Model 1.
Yeah.
This came out in '82. So who put this out? Big Five Software. You know who that is?
No.
You ever heard of a game called Miner 2049?
Oh, yeah.
The same outfit did it, and the same programmers, Bill Hoog and Jeff Conyu, they did this one 82, and I believe this is the last TRS-80 game they did. They went from this to the Atari 8-bits and did Miner 2049er. This has a real awesome box, but basically it's sort of the same basic bear, homie.
Right.
By the way, just for reference, this sold brand new with its box from Big Five for $15.95. So that's what you were paying for this if you got this from TRS-80. And so I thought that was interesting. So let's flash forward a little bit now that we've covered that stuff to the actual game on the PET. So the PET game is called Astro Rescue. Again, released in 82 from Jim Summers. So one thing I noticed right away when this game comes up at the bottom, there's a scroll.
Yeah.
Both the R games have sort of a similar set.
Oh, yeah.
Space bar. On the TRS-80 version, if you hit the space bar, it gives you like a background and all the enemies. And this, it does. We don't get that kind of action here. But it does say at the bottom, it scrolls along the bottom. It says, unauthorized copying of this program is punishable 7 hours of forced Wampus games.
Yeah.
So I found that highly amusing. These games also, we didn't mention, but just you got. I know you can play. Some of these have 1 or 2 player support too.
All of them. All of his games did. That was a big deal to him.
Yeah. So of course you have to. It's hot seat, of course. So Lunar Rescue. What do you do in this crazy game? Well, this is a game where you are tasked with dropping a ship from like picture a big mothership with like a big cargo bay or docking bay.
Yeah.
And it goes across the top of the screen back and forth. All right. And then you're in it. Your screen. Have a little lander that is in the docking bay. When you hit the button, you will release the docking bay and start drifting downwards towards the planet. The planet has 3 like landing pads on it, and then on the 2 mountains. So there's a planet down there, and there are like mountains on either side that have guys standing on them.
Yep.
I will say in the TRS-80 version, the little guys yell help, I believe, and this version they stand there. And so your job is to get down land. One of these guys will just sort of magically appear in your ship, and then you take back off. And when you take back off, you've got to negotiate your way through the asteroid field to get back to the mothership. When I first started playing this, I didn't realize you could shoot. And it was a lot harder to not be able to shoot or do anything. I just thought you basically went down and
You
up.
just drifted back
And I
up.
thought to myself, man, this is one hard game. So when I read that you could fire, I'm like, oh my God, that makes it a lot easier. So so when you're going down, if you hit the space bar a lot, you'll sort of kind of slow down.
Yeah, you'll slow your
But
descent.
there's a reason for some of this. Is a programming reason, which I'll get to. When you go back up, and you're firing, if you start laying on the fire button, you'll go fast.
Yeah, if you just hold the fire button, you'll use your thrusters instead of shooting.
I read in the interview that Ms. Summers said that, like, because of his lack of knowledge on a program, that this game everything stops when certain things happen, and so it's not a bug, it's a feature when you're doing that stuff, because it's probably just because of some inefficiencies in his programming ability that happens. There are 6 guys at the bottom of the screen. When you get down and get them all, 6 more show up. And they're also, every time you land, the pad gets smaller, you know. But I never really had a whole lot of issue with that. The funny thing about this game is, when you're coming down, you don't release it, you hit the button, so you got to have a clear path. But when you're coming down, you can get down okay. Getting back up can be a lot harder, and one of the main reasons is it's because you're the jerks that drive the mothership. When you pick up a man, the mothership will basically start moving again.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's trying to help you or just I don't know what they're doing, but whatever they're doing, it's like if you try to put the frog in the hole in Frogger, the whole move.
Yeah.
You're trying to get land, and by the way, there's no way to totally stop. So if that thing's out of your reach, you're just going to careen into the side of it and miss it.
Yes.
And so you'll get killed a lot of times just by not being able to get back to the mothership.
Yep.
And sometimes the mothership doesn't care where the asteroids are at. So if there's a big wave of asteroids, it might park in the worst conceivable spot for you to stick your guy in. So that can get old real quick. The ship has a number on it, 62530. Like, what is that?
That's the high score.
Oh, that's
whatever the high score is.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even know that. So that's kind of cool. You have you have multiple levels of this. And I know once you get far enough in to this game, I can only describe like a giant plan or something like kind of hurtles through.
I always thought of it like a lunar storm.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Anyway, this thing is double death.
Yes.
This game's hard enough without the lunar storm or whatever it is coming in. This makes it that much harder to get to your guy. But this is just a game that just repeats over and over until you die. That's it.
Yeah.
It's got pretty.
Don't think you're going to be playing for hours.
No.
10 minutes is an incredibly super awesome game.
It's got some pretty decent sound. I mean, when you get killed, it kind of makes a noise.
Yeah.
That sounds sort of like an explosion. So, I mean, it's not that bad. You know, your shots sound like your shots. The game, this asteroids that scroll into the movement it's not as smooth as your game.
Correct.
And I believe this was his first effort, I think, was this game before he moved on to yours. And then ultimately did Slime. But overall,
don't let that fool you. This is still super playable.
Oh yeah. But I'm telling you, you're playing within the limitations of this guy's programming skills on the pet. Like I said, whenever you shoot or do certain things, I mean, everything sort of, there's a lot of just like bump moving around. It's not like it's not the best when it comes to scrolling the asteroids. But overall, I enjoyed the game, frankly. I thought it was a lot of fun. What did you think of it?
I think you're selling this incredibly short.
I don't think I'm selling it short. That's the game.
This is probably my second favorite pet game of all time. And the reason why is there is complexity in its simplicity. Where you get to choose where you get dropped off.
Yeah.
Okay. And the ship just bounces left or right on the side of the screen. So when you hit the space bar, if the mothership was going left when you departed to the planet, when you land and take off again, it's going to start moving left. And then when it hits the side of the screen, it's going to bounce off, move a little bit, and then stop until you actually port back with the ship. Knowing this going in determines on what platform makes sense to land on. If the ship is already, when you get to the planet, your mothership is going to start moving left, you want to go for a platform that's on the left, as long as there's one available. And then that way, when you take off, as you're flying straight up, the mothership's actually moving over top of you to receive you. It's that kind of thing that if you think about it while you're playing, it makes it so much better, makes it so much more fun. When you are flying up to get back to the ship, yes, you can shoot things. Sometimes it's necessary. Do not go out of your way to shoot stuff, though. Hold that button. Use those thrusters. Get to that mothership, because the biggest point bonus you can get in this game is saving all 6 astronauts. If there's one in your ship and you blow up, you can't. That's it. You lose that bonus until you save the remaining ones and then get 6 new people. If you were on your way down to the planet and blow up, though, that's fine. You can still get the bonus. That's super good programming, because the game could have always said you just have to come back 6 times. You're going to get the bonus. Everything's good. But he actually had the foresight, be it on purpose or an accident, to say if there was no astronaut in that ship, your bonus is still safe. Brilliant. That's brilliant. The lunar storms suck, because they will come out of nowhere. They're huge.
They look cool.
Oh, they look awesome. But I mean, from playing perspective, they're horrible.
Yeah.
Because they move quickly. Sometimes you are just in the path of one. That's sorry about your luck.
Yeah. And asteroids, I mean, it's sort of similar. Sometimes you just bone.
Well, they're far more predictable,
right?
Though.
But I'm just saying, sometimes for example, if your guy decides to park the ship on the side of the screen, an asteroid might just smash it.
No. That's all up to you, because wherever you park it, it's going to move so much as you blast back off the planet.
But it still doesn't make the asteroid.
You can always, if you wanted to, if you were patient and you wanted to take the time, you could always have your mothership be in the center of the screen when you start flying back up to meet it, by just knowing how far it's going to move, because it moves the same amount every time. That is the strategy of this game. That's the beauty of this game. There is so many fine details that go into things like that that it works out and makes it that much more fun to play. I've tried playing this a few different ways. I tried shooting the asteroids. I tried just going for the astronaut bonus. I tried really working on ship manipulation. The reason why I mention that is not because I'm some super awesome gamer. It's that this game gives you the ability to explore those options, and that makes it really, really good.
Yeah.
Really good. This is 82. Most complexities were just, am I going to put in 1/4 or 2/4? So for this to actually make you think as you play, super fun. Super fun. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I thought it was a good game. It's just I wish we mentioned when we were doing Star Spores that like he ultimately ended up porting this to the C64. I don't know if you read. We didn't touch it.
Rewriting it. He didn't port
Right.
it.
Well,
He
I mean,
rewrote
it's
it.
still a port.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you've ever played a game called Alien Brood, that's his game. And I don't know if you read this part of the interview where he talked about he intended on selling this game, by the way.
Yeah, and he screwed himself.
And he actually got a games shop or a computer store to give him a floppy drive to work on, and then his buddy got a copy and
For free.
and they were playing it in the store, and the guy's like, "Give me back the floppy,
Yeah.
screw you." But anyway,
And it's amazing that one little wrinkle in this dude's timeline could have very well altered his life path forever.
It may.
Because if he would have sold a game and made a lot of money, I not knowing the guy outside of a couple interviews and things I read about him, I feel that could have put him on a path to become a video game designer, and he might have became one of the best designers we ever know. Or he could have crashed and burned. It could have been the end of his life. It could have ruined him.
The end of his life.
Well, I mean,
Thank God that he'd been fired at that game then.
but what I'm saying is, there are so many little basement developers like this, and it's rare that we get to highlight one that had done such good work and then just completely walked away from the industry.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what this guy did.
Well, the reason I want to bring up Alien Brood is you got to see what Star Wars would be like on a more powerful system.
Yes.
And I wish that could have been the same for this game because Astro Rescue, I think, could have really done quite nicely as a game that got moved up to a slightly more powerful machine. Or if he'd redone it with advanced knowledge of smoother scroll and whatnot, because
and he learned all that stuff just later.
That's sort of what hamstrings this game. It's just that it's the herky jerkiness of it.
I agree.
But I mean, it's still a fun game.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed playing it. I'm torn on which of the two games I like more. I mean, your game is smoother, and your game has I mean, it's a straight up smooth arcade experience.
I think Star Spores has more heart.
Well, this game, I think there's more
variety.
Variety. I think this game's got more high score type
this is
possibility.
Astro Rescue is more intense. It's more intense,
which I like. We did get a look at this one also from Pajako. I will say Buck was tearing these up too, so I know Buck played the heck out of them. Pajako chimes in. Although this is missing the aliens, Astro Rescue is a really good version of Lunar Rescue made using Petsky characters. It looks and plays at a fair speed and is playable mostly. Sound for a machine with not much. Jack in that department does the job and is pretty good. That's what I say. But during ascents, it is common to end up being chased across the screen by faster moving asteroids. You know you can't outrun them if you do, you'll not make it to the ship. This is where I lost many lives. The collisions are a little trigger happy and sometimes seem to get hit before the asteroid has actually touched you. It is like the code is updating and checking variables before the screen has redrawn. Maybe an emulation issue, though. Possible. Well, let's get back to 1982 and imagine I was very lucky enough to own a pet back then, that I would have enjoyed this and been less critical. Very probably yes. So for a pet game, this is pretty solid. 8 out of 10 games. And he goes on to also mention the Buck. Thank you, Buck. You have to hold down You have to hold down a key to steer left and right, which is actually the machine having caps lock on, which I mentioned. Anytime you play games on the pet, turn on that caps lock.
Yep.
It's a must. It's a must have. But yeah, I enjoyed both these quite a bit. The Brent. And
Absolutely.
once again, the pet has delivered the goods. And I'm hoping it's someone on the line. We're gonna get back into the TRC model 1, 2, or 3, where we get a little more of this action because these systems. We've mentioned this before on these monochrome systems, these old systems from the late 70s, early 80s. Like you'd think to yourself, man, these things are going to be duds. Man, they had creative, talented guys, and you could tell a guy like this dude, Summers, is a guy. These are games that are. You can see how a high school kid could write these games. Why? He spent his time in the arcades.
Yeah.
He's a gamer, and he knows what gamers like because we're gamers. And what they liked back in those days, and I still am this way, are twitchy shooting games, point pressing games, high score games, stuff. And he picked ones that the pet could handle and effectively. And I salute the man.
And he did an incredible job getting him on the screen.
Yeah, and the fact that me and you both independently, I can't stress this enough. We did not collude on this. And so when Brent ended up picking another game, this guy had no idea until I saw the guys in the Discord talking about it. And then once I played it, I could tell. I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know how you picked your games for the pet, but I generally go through and just I watch videos stuff and try to see stuff that looks interesting to me and doesn't look like the same old. And listen, this game popped out at me, and I'm sure yours was the same way. So kudos. I had a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah, Aaron, we are not spinning the wheel this week. No. There is no wheel theme to chime in.
Oh, I can't yell at you again.
No, wait a minute.
Come on.
Look, there's wheel theme.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay.
But no, we won't be doing that this week, Aaron.
Yeah.
Because next week, we're going to be doing a little
Atari ST show.
That's right. And then the week after that's a little
Thanks for giving Marathon. Explain to the people, because now we can actually kind of push it. What are we doing? You have a gimmick this year. Do you want to disclose the gimmick?
No, I'm not going to disclose the gimmick.
Okay,
that's a game time.
You haven't even told me the gimmick. That's why I don't know. Tell the people what we're doing.
Thanks for giving. It will be the Friday after Thanksgiving. We are going to just sit around, play some games. We're going to be streaming from about 8 to 10 hours of just nonstop gaming goodness. And this is just a way for people who don't want to watch football, who are still in their food coma from Thanksgiving, or just are celebrating around the world, want to come in, watch us, have a good time. This is not about raising money. There's no charities at stake. We're not trying to get new subs or Patreon memberships. I mean, if that's your prerogative, that's all your business. But we're just saying thank you for all of that support that you do give us throughout the year.
And it's an excuse to sit around playing games.
And is an excuse to play games. But we're going to be doing that, which will take the slot of ARG.
Right.
So after that, we will be back to ZX Spectrum, I believe.
Correct. I will say next week. Let's talk about next week. The Thanksgiving Marathon 2 weeks away.
Yes.
Next week we'll be playing games on the venerable Atari ST on the Atari ST show, and the game we'll be playing is Black Lamp. Lamp. I've not played this game yet, but I've seen. I watched the footage, did a little research, and it looks quite interesting. I can't wait to dig into it. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the ST, it's funny. It's a real mixed bag of stuff. You don't ever know what you're going to get. Like I said, the ZX Spectrum, the hit and miss ratio is pretty high. It's pretty accurate. You mostly get pretty good games.
Yeah.
The ST, you can get a great game, and then you can get something that the dog should bury. So you never know what you're going to get. But by God, we're hoping. We got high hopes for Black Lamp.
And you got anything else for the people?
I do have one more thing for the people, Brent. I do. Guess what today is, everybody? It's the Brent's birthday. What? Brent, I bought this just for you. Look, everybody.
Oh, it's a bag.
It's a bag.
Aaron, I already have a bag. Thanks, though.
Okay, I'll just take this back then. Here you go. You can open that up. It's an ARG related gift, I think. But make sure you read the card. In fact, I'll read the card while you get out the gift.
Okay. Here, Aaron, here's my birthday card.
This is Brent's birthday card. Because I think this encapsulates the way I feel of the Brent. Look at that, everybody. If you're watching at home, there's the lovely card. The card on the front says, a birthday wish for someone special. And then the inside says, here's the inside says, can't tell you just how much you mean because you mean so much. Your loving ways are special to the many lives you touch. And now that it's your birthday, words can only start to say how much you've wished the kind of joy you always give away. Happy birthday. I love you, Aaron and Luke. There it
Oh,
is, everybody. Isn't that nice?
that was cheesy as cheesy
What do
gets.
you mean? That
That
encapsulates
was
my feelings.
heartfelt. That was heartfelt.
Now you gonna show the people what you got there?
I am.
You don't know what you've got, do you?
Nope. Look, it's a thing.
It's the Mister, everybody.
Oh.
It's a Mister.
Wow.
It's a
Neat.
Mister. I've been hanging on to that thing for a while, waiting for you, and there it is. Brand new Mister with the memory upgrade in it. It is ready to go. I also put a 256 gigger in there. I've already jacked up I'm gonna put all the goodies on there for you.
Super nice. Thank you very much.
That's a Mister.
I've been trying like crazy to get one of these.
I love the fact that you looked at it. You really were baffled. You had no idea what it was.
In the box is
That's the box a Mister comes in.
well, I know, but
It's a DE10 Nano.
I've never seen a Mr. Box before, so I was like, oh, Aaron got me some kind of card.
You dummy.
Oh.
Now listen, here's the thing about a Mister. You know, because now that you've taken over for Boat on all these shows, Boat had to do all this Boat stuff. That means that you have to play all kinds of crazy stuff, including the Atari ST. Sometimes you can't. It's stuff that's hard to emulate, brother.
Yeah,
And the
you ain't
Mister
kidding.
makes it happen. So that's a gift. They'll keep on giving. Happy birthday, the Brent. Tell everybody how old you are today, the Brent.
46?
Oh, is that so? You're not that young.
No, yeah, I'm 46.
51, ladies and gentlemen.
No, that's you. No, that's
51,
not
51
even
years
you.
old, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much for this, Aaron. I am going to use the heck out of that because I desperately need something that can emulate some of the stuff that just doesn't emulate right.
Yeah, because let's face facts. You're a
Super
handmaiden.
nice.
There you go, everybody.
Oops, I should probably put the manuals back
That's
in.
all right. We probably end the show now and go have your birthday cake.
Ooh, cake.
Yeah, so thanks, everybody, for joining us. Again, we'll be back next week for Black Blamp on the Atari ST show. And in 2 weeks, on the Friday after Thanksgiving, we'll be back for Thanksgiving Marathon. Everybody have a nice week. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. You're a hack. What a hack.
No, it was before I had to add that audio source. I had to turn everything back on. I didn't have time to go through and turn everything back off.
The setup dumb.
No. It's because I'm plugging in the thing today, this morning.
That was hacky on a grand scale. Hey, thanks everybody for hanging with us. I'm trying to find where I put all the chat stuff I just had up here. It's in here somewhere. I guess we could probably. You want to go ahead and end this? Have you done anything to end anything, or are you just sitting there?
No. I stopped the recording.
Thank you, Explorer. We appreciate that. Thanks everybody on that showed up on to stop in and say hi on the YouTube side. It's actually funny. YouTube is weird, you know, the way it works. So I don't know, but there weren't any people in the chat room. But thanks everybody, of course, all of our Twitch buddies.
We didn't tell anyone that we were doing things.
See you later, Pajaco. Hey, I hope Adam. I hope you feel better, my friend. Hey, listen, you wish it, Adam, because I'm great, and I'm stuck with this guy who can't even turn off the microphones during the credit roll. So now, what am I going to edit that now?
No, leave it in. It'll be fun.
What, bad mouth you and did the credits?
Aaron, everyone knows how you
Not
are.
to hold you little SOBs.
That's right.
Oh, I don't want to piss off the SOBs.
Horrible. All right, Aaron, say goodbye to the nice people.
See you guys next week. Have a nice one.
YouTube, we're letting you go first. Bye-bye.
I'll check out my Cowboy stream.